guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, my name is LORENAAGUIRRE and I post here on my YouTube channel every Monday and Saturday. But to start off, I ended up getting these tips from Amazon, and I'm just going to go ahead and start placing my butterflies. I wanted to do kind of like a spring styled type of set, and so these butterflies, basically, I wanted to go ahead and open them all up. You guys could find these on Opulence Nail Co. I'll go ahead and link it down below. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this wax pencil, and I'm going to be placing them onto the nail with my resin from Montage, and I'm just going to go ahead and place them in any random which order. I do feel like this resin was drying a lot faster for me than nail glue was, so that is kind of why I ended up doing this instead of the other one. But I ended up going back and forth between the colors. I ended up going in with this white gold, and then I ended up going in with kind of more of, it has like a little undertone of like coppery gold in it, but it's a very, very pretty color. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do, now that that is all dry and I put my spray glue, or my fast spray glue dry glue or spray or whatever it's called. I'll have it linked so you guys know what it's called and whatnot. So the resin is dried super fast, but I'm gonna go ahead and go in with a top coat. The top coat that I am using is Montage's top coat, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this jelly stamper and then this and put it on inside, which I completely failed because it was too much weight on it. And I'm just going to go ahead and press it down, make sure everything's nice and smooth when I do my encapsulation. Just because sometimes with encapsulating, I do notice that if you end up kind of just like laying them flat like that and tacking them down that way, when the nail has a curve to it, it will actually end up popping up out of your acrylic, and then once you go and file, half of that sequence is gone because you're filing it off. And a lot of times that inside the sequences, I do feel like they are kind of more silver inside, so with that being said, the silver will end up showing. But right here, I'm going to go ahead and get Desert Bear. Desert Bear and Desert Rose are very, very similar. I do feel like this is a lot more opaque. I don't know how to explain it. Like, the pigment in here is a little bit different than the Desert Rose one, but it has more of that neutral kind of tone to it. This is like perfect if your clients are kind of wanting to go and do that like I don't know, like that super trendy neutral kind of color. I feel like this is one that you will want to go to if you guys are trying to grow that kind of collection of nail stuff. But I do feel like this color is a very trendy color. I really enjoy using this, and I wanted to keep kind of more of that earthy, natural kind of tone when it came to this set. Even though it was a spring nail, I know neutrals are super in, so I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and try this. But the size brush that I am using is a size 16. I know some size 16s, they do run pretty small, and this one is pretty large. And you guys, I know before I used to say that using a size 16 was way too big for me, but lately I've been using it on all of my sets. And because I was like, you know what, let me try to use this again. And I've been using it for the last couple weeks, and oh my gosh, you guys, I am so in love with it. I am so glad that I am using it and putting it to use. I do still like to use the smaller one. The smaller brush is like a size 12 for doing my fills. I will keep that for my fill. But I think for full sets, I need to move my way up to this one, just because I do feel like it saves me a lot more time, and I do feel like I'm able to pick up a lot more product than if I were to be using a size 12. So you guys could see that I kind of just did like, I think like 2 to 3 beads, and normally if I do this with my size 12 brushes, definitely for this length of nail, I would probably go back and forth 5 to 6 times. And so that, I feel like in itself just saves me so much time. So now that that is nice and cured, I ended up putting that into the lamp after I was done with it. But now I'm going to go ahead and encapsulate it. So I did end up trying 2 methods. You guys will see the next one the next method that I try to use on the next nail that I do like this, so stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss that, just because I did end up trying them, and I will end up telling you guys which one I did like. But so for this one, I went ahead and capped all the butterflies in clear, and I'm kind of just like making sure that I am keeping my shape and things like that, and applying enough acrylic to where it doesn't make it super bulky, but it covers all of the butterflies, and that there is no dips and whatnot in the nail. So now I'm going to go ahead and go in with Desert Rose. You guys will be able to see that Desert Rose and Desert Bear are very similar, but I promise you guys they are different. Desert Rose is lighter and more of that peachy tone, and Desert Bear has more of a neutral kind of color. But I did want to keep underneath the butterflies nice and clear, so I am going to be trying to keep the blend higher up and not drag it down as far, just because I do feel like I want to still see the butterflies. I know in camera it does look like I drug it down a lot further, and you guys will see in the clips later on that you guys will be able to see that I actually ended up doing it, and then in the background compared to the other nail, I do feel like this one looks like it's a little bit more dragged, but I promise you they are really even. It's just the way that the camera is picking it up for whatever reason. Alright, guys, and then even after this, I am going to go ahead and clean off my brush really good, and once I'm happy with the blend, I'm just going to go ahead and cap that in clear. I was kind of having to mess around with it a little bit, just because of the fact that the pigment on this one could be a little tiny bit more, but I do like that about this one, is that the opaqueness is not like super harsh. So if you guys are seeing those like trendier nude colors, that it does have a little tiny bit of that sheerness to it, I definitely recommend doing a very thin layer of this. But when I am doing ombres, I try to work in a very thin layers, just because I do feel like if I end up doing a big old glob of it, I don't know, I just don't ever really like the way it looks. So now I'm going to go ahead and go back to Desert Bear, and I thought I was going to do an ombre on this one, but I did end up changing my mind. This is going to be the thumbnail, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag that bead all the way down. You guys could see that I kind of started doing it up at the top and just kind of changed my mind. I do kind of like to pull the brush back towards where the cuticle area would be, and it covers that area nicely. And then I want to drag it back down. I like to angle my nail down too when I am working on it, whether it be a client or these little or to do it on the little press-on nails. I like to make sure it's angled down so it flows in the correct direction. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and build up the tip a little bit more and place it where I need it, and I'm going to go ahead and blend it back up into the nail. The great thing about this acrylic is it does not marble at all. I love this color. This color is so bomb. And again, this one is Desert Bear, and you guys could see how that one, I know it was a very brief clip, but you guys could see how it is just a little bit more neutral than the Desert Rose, which honestly both of these, you guys, are my favorites. And I'm going to go ahead and get Desert Rose again, and I'm just going to go ahead and blend it down. And I am going to try to keep the blending to a minimal. I want to make sure to keep like a good amount of clear down at the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to the top of the cuticle with this, and I'm also going to be blending it down. I'm trying to keep the sidewalls of it clean. I did end up getting some underneath, but if you guys do get some underneath, I definitely recommend either getting clippers and clipping it out, or you could also even get your drill e-file and go ahead and go in and kind of just get rid of all of that. But look at the colors, you guys. I love the way the colors look. I know with the Desert Rose wet, it does look very close to Desert Bear, but I promise you guys it is different. But now I'm going to go ahead and go in, get my resin again, place my butterflies where I want them. And I tried to use the resin to even kind of like push that back down and see if I did like this method, but I do definitely like to use the resin to place them and get them where I want them so they stick down. And then I just like to go in with that clear top coat and press it down with the flashlight and that little jelly pad. And again, I am using that coppery kind of gold, or like more that like gold, yellowy gold kind of colors, and I am just going to go ahead and place that, and I'm going to be putting that white gold on there as well. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and go straight in with the clear acrylic and kind of just putting it into where I need it and starting to blend it up. You guys, I did actually like to put blending that. I liked blending the nude acrylic first before doing the other one. I felt like it made it a lot easier for me. So honestly, you guys, if you guys are having a hard time, this method that I did on this nail was a lot easier than doing the other method, just because the other method, I did feel like it was a little bit more time consuming for me. So going back and forth like this and kind of just getting that happy medium. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and place my clear bead of acrylic and just kind of blend it all in. And I do feel like doing this method was a lot easier and less time consuming, so I do definitely recommend doing it the way I did on this one rather than the first one. Now I'm going to go ahead and blend all of my nails in, making sure that they are nice and straight on the sides and holding my nail file super straight and parallel with the nail. And now I'm just going to go ahead and do the ends. And for the ends, I just want them to look nice and square. So since these are a nice and square set, I am going to kind of make sure that I keep the sides parallel and then make sure that tip is 90 degrees from both of those. And yeah, you guys, I do feel like these tips made it so much easier for me, especially with being allergic to the acrylic and trying to showcase my work to clients and things like that and posting all of that on my Instagram. I feel like that's really important for me. So I do hope you guys are enjoying this method. I know it is a little bit different seeing it on here than on an actual hand, but let me know what you guys prefer. Do you guys prefer seeing press-on nail videos and see how I go from there and filing? Just because I do feel like on here I am able to show you a little bit more on here than I actually am on my hands, because a lot of times when I am working on my hands, I do feel like I do tend to get out of focus quite a bit. Okay guys, now that I am done going ahead and blending all that out, I'm going to go ahead and do that to all the rest of the nails. The file that I am using for today is a 100-100 grit, which is one that I normally don't use. I do end up always using the 180-180 just because they are more of a coarser grit than this one. And I do love my 80-80 grit, but this one is great as well. I feel like the grit on these, they actually lasted really long, so I was happy about that. But I do definitely love my 80-80 grit, but they did not have them in stock, so I ended up getting these ones, which I was actually pretty happy about. I feel like they do the good job. And doing a softer grit, I do feel like it does end up actually making your job easier as a nail tech, kind of buffing all that out. So if you guys are having problems with buffing out the scratches and things like that, maybe try to do a 100-100 grit. I do feel like you might like these, but for me, I do like buffing and doing all that, so I really don't mind having to buff out the scratches and being super thorough with it. But just know you might end up going through buffers a lot faster if you are using a coarser grit and trying to buff it to a super smoothness. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys watch me do this, and then you guys will be able to see the final look. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and keep on buffing these and making sure that they come out super smooth, because I do plan on adding a little bit more to them. And the buffer that I do use is a sponge buffer. It is a 180 grit. These are a must-have. The size of these are great, especially if you guys are working on to medium to long nails. I feel like they're not like the super small buffers that are gonna go ahead and end up running out super fast, and they're not as expensive as the full-size ones that you end up having to only be able to use on one client, and they're kind of more on the pricier side. Alright, and this is what they are looking like. You guys could see how smooth that had actually took out a good amount of the scratches. I was so happy about it. But I am going to be putting a matte top coat. The one that I'm using for today is Tracy's Nails. I am going to try to finish all of my top coats that I do have, because I am kind of in the market to find new ones that I want to try out and things like that. So my next stock is going to be a lot of different top coats, so let me know down below what matte top coats that you guys would like me to try, and that I could do a review on my YouTube channel. I do have another review where I did show you guys the difference between the top coats and things like that, so definitely recommend checking that out. But I did want to kind of show you guys these and kind of mention while they are wet, you guys could see the butterflies a little bit more in there. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but I do feel like I love sequence matte. I don't know what it is, but I feel like the way it looks so pretty and so clean. I love it. And you guys could see definitely the difference between Desert Rose and Desert Bear. They are so bomb. And I ended up actually using another glitter. I wasn't able to get it on camera because I was actually trying to make sure that my station didn't become a mess and things like that. So I wanted to do it off the paper towels and things because I was still working with acrylic. But yeah, so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is get my monomer, and I am going to go ahead and get my 3D art brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and start placing my beads. I ended up seeing designs like this all over Instagram, and I thought they were super cute, so I wanted to go ahead and try it myself. And what you're going to want to do is place your bead and then kind of pat it out with a little bit of the belly of the brush, and kind of make sure you are keeping a point to go on each side of the petal and kind of push it more towards the center. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this again, and if the bead comes out either too dry or super too big, I am just going to go ahead and wipe it away on the paper towel. Alright, and now this one is going to be super close to the other one, almost like it's overlapping. But I'm going to go ahead and do the same method and push the sides of it in, and then kind of just make sure I keep the tip of my brush in the center and then push down with the back end of my brush. And I like to drain the bead before I place it, because if I do place it right away without draining the bead of acrylic, what will end up actually happening is you will put it down on the nail, and when you put it down on the nail, it will just kind of spread out and just kind of make a mess with all the other ones. So all the 3D work that you did end up doing, you will end up actually like kind of just creating a mess, and you will end up not really liking your design. And I do feel like the look of it looks more 3D, more realistic, and it just gives a prettier, softer look, and it doesn't look like it's almost like melting into your work, if that makes any sense at all. But now I'm going to go ahead and place that last bead, and I am going to kind of push it back up with the side of my brush, just so it's not all into the cuticle area. And I'm going to get my resin and my wax pencil, and I'm going to place that stone. And look how cute it is. I feel like just adding the stones to just make it all come together. Normally for the first flower, or if I do flowers that it's like a hole like that, I do like to place my crystal last. But in this case, because I do want to work around this flower, I did kind of want to get an idea of where I was placing the petals and things like that. So I went ahead and placed it first. Now I'm going to go ahead and place that bead, and I'm going to do the same exact thing as I did in the first flower. And something that I do want to mention is while I am doing this, I also like to clean my stones too. So if I do notice that there is any type of acrylic on there, I will kind of just wipe that away really well so it doesn't end up messing up the shine of the stone, because otherwise, if you end up covering the stone and there's no more shine on it, it kind of just defeats the purpose of all that. And oh my gosh, you guys, it looks so pretty. You guys could see how pretty and nice it's starting to come along. And I wanted to add a little bit more in this little corner, and I'm going to add a couple more just for some final touches, and if I feel like it needs more in certain places, of course I'll go ahead and do so. But let me know what you guys think of how this came out. I love working with 3D art, so if you are a client and you guys want to get something like this, please don't ever feel like you guys are bothering me by asking for this. I know it's a little bit time consuming and a little bit tedious, but I promise you guys, this is something that I actually really love to do, is 3D art. I wish I would kind of experiment more with other things. I think for Halloween, definitely I am going to. But I just love the look of it. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see from the side and later on in the video, but you guys could see how nice and thin it actually is. I know a lot of people, they think that in order for these to be strong and stay on the nail, they have to be super thick. And that is not the case when you are working with 3D art. You are actually able to do it very thin and it stays nice and it does not end up getting messed up. Some of my clients will go anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks with their 3D art, and the stones all stay in place and things like that. So yeah, you guys, I feel like the lower of a profile it is like the more protection it will have, because if it's super bulky and raised above the nail, what will end up actually happening is it will snag on things and things like that. So as low as you could get it, as thin as you could get it, what's still making it look 3D and cute and all that, yeah, you guys, that is the better thing to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and get to my resin, put some on that thumbnail, and I'm just going to go ahead and place 3 beads down. And you guys, this is pretty much the rest of the look. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please stay tuned for the very end, because you guys will actually be able to see me trying them on. And they just look so cute. I love them. And the color that I did end up actually using for this color, or for these flowers, I did want them to pop a little bit more off of my base. So I ended up actually going in with the desert rose. And I was trying to add on like different kind of textures of flowers and things like that, but I did end up not really liking the way that looks, so I ended up putting it back. And there is caviar in those boxes, so I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and try that and see how that is. But I felt like it was kind of clashing with my design, so I just ended up deciding to put those away completely. Alright, you guys, in just a second you guys are going to see the try on. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for everyone who watches and tunes in and comments and shows love down below. I appreciate you guys so much. It makes me feel like my videos aren't going unnoticed. So I appreciate you, and I'm thankful for all of you guys that enjoy my content. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll be back with more videos. Bye!